everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this idea of volume being a major driver of hypertrophy and muscle growth. So here's the thing, guys. You see this a lot, and you see people who point out, look, a lot of certain bodybuilders in different eras did way more training than people think. They did way more training than a lot of guys today. They got jacked, they got strong, they got all these things, right? They made these gains, right? Or like we have all these studies, more and more studies coming out showing that muscle stimulus is higher as training volumes, assuming it's quality volume, increase. Okay, and people hear that, but then they're like, well, wait a minute. I don't have time for that, or I'm not making the best gains doing that. And there's some caveats to think about with that. And what I would tell people is, what you have to understand is, yes, there is an almost open-ended nonlinear relationship between muscle growth. So, okay, let me explain that, right? In other words, yes, more volume equals more gains, but it will not be in proportion. In other words, if you go from 10 sets to 20 sets, it won't be double the gains or muscle stimulus. It might be, 10 or 20% more total stimulus. You add 5 more sets beyond that, it might be 1 or 2% more stimulus, okay? Right? Do we understand that? It is not linear. It doesn't scale. It is diminished the more you train. Okay? All right, number one, it's a big factor. All right, number two, if you don't recover from it, it really is just junk volume. It is junk volume. And that is kind of the big take home of this. So when people are like, well, how come you have clients who you say only do 6 or 8 sets of muscle group? Why do you do like 15 plus for most of yours? Why do you take your biceps and do like 25? Okay, and that's a great question. And why have I had clients who do 20 sets? Well, because they can recover from it, all right? Number two, we don't do that with every muscle group. All right, so why do some of them only do 6 or 8? Because their lifestyles and their level of conditioning and work capacity is so low that that's all that they can recover from. And I think that is the big part of this that people have to think about. You have to think about that. If you do 6 really, really hard sets, will you probably make some gains? Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. You will 100% make gains. There's no doubt about this in my mind. Right? You'll make gains. Will they be enough? Well, who's to say? But you will make some gains. And I think what we need to remember, if we're going to play the long game, are some gains better than no gains? Yes. Because what happens as long as you are gaining some muscle all the time? Well, then you're going to keep making gains. It's going to add up. So what if it's not the most you could have made? What if it's only 60% of what you could have gained? You're still gaining it. Are you still going to be better at the end of the year than you were at the start? Of course. So when people are going through phases in their life and transitions in their life to where they can't optimize, there's nothing wrong with taking that approach. Progress is progress. Okay? And it's certainly better than regressing. All right. However, if you want to maximize growth, you probably need to do more. And here's the real kicker that gets a lot of people. Also, you have to be able to create the environment to recover from the more. It's not just about just the lifestyle you're doing. It's about what's going on with your cardio, your GBP, things like that. In other words, if you are in good shape, you can probably handle higher work capacities. But that also means you're having to do more conditioning work. That's more time investment. So before long, people are going, well, that can turn into a lot of investment. Well, that's correct. But how high of a fitness level are you trying to reach? Okay? And that's what people have to factor in. If you have a higher just level of fitness, general physical preparedness, as Louise Simmons called it, GPP, some people call it conditioning, you can handle more volume in the gym. You can get better work density because you recover faster between sets. right? In other words, let's say you're trying to get multiple sets of 10. If you're out of shape, you need a really long break to replicate that sometimes. But if you're in really good shape, it might take half the time. It could be the difference between resting 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 6 minutes, or 7 minutes trying to repeat that. So if you're in good shape, you can do a lot more volume in the same number of minutes of training. Okay? Much, much, much better volumes of training than are achievable in work density. All right? Number 2, you can handle higher volumes without running out of steam, and then you might recover from it quicker. So because, again, you clear waste products and stuff faster. But then it's kind of like, well, then you're spending more time in the gym there than more time doing cardio. Well, yeah, but if you're trying to maximize everything and you want to be fit and in shape, it works. But do you see where we're going with this? It's not a simple case of, hey, if I just do more training, it'll be fine. Well, then you've got to look at, maybe I need more protein. Maybe I need more sleep. Maybe I need to be more careful with my exercise selection so that more of my exercises are easier to recover from. Okay? It's another factor. You don't just come in and just say, I'm going to do more of the same thing. In other words, squats and deadlifts are phenomenal. In fact, a few sets of squats and deadlifts done every week can handle a whole lot of your muscle development. Not necessarily your chest and arms, but for the rest of your body. But you can't handle a lot of it. So when you're adding extra volumes beyond those things, they need to be easier exercises to recover from. So you just have to start thinking about those things more and more and more. Right? Your exercise selection will matter more. We know a little bit of exercise variation for the same amount of volume causes more growth. So again, are you getting enough variety of exercises? If you're really going to go that route and you want to maximize, you have to think in those terms. So there is the part of the downside to the higher volumes. But we do need to be clear. When you dial those things in, you're going to make more progress. Because you're going to have better volumes, you're going to recruit more total muscle fibers, you're going to recover better, you're going to make more gains. But it is not going to be proportionate to the amount of time that you're putting in. It is not going to scale the same. So it's a question that a person has to ask of, what are they trying to achieve? And there's no right or wrong answer. We need to be clear on that. There is not a right or a wrong answer. Are you trying to get the most benefit for the least work? Trying to get the most benefit for the least time investment? Or are you trying to maximize everything you can get through any means necessary? Or is there even a happier middle ground between the two that you personally would be content with? And you have to answer those questions. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.